Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday to you. Welcome to Purpose Fridays with Sherry, friends, and family. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're glad to have you. Got another exciting afternoon of all input strategies, trends, what we're doing out there in the nonprofit world. Joining us today is one and only Sherry Watson herself, and also one of our team members, Ed Rawl. Hi, guys.
Hey, happy Friday. I love these Purpose Fridays. What a great way to have a happy hour with a purpose.
Oh, yeah, you bet. We got another good one for you guys today. Going to be talking a lot about what we're doing out there, what's going on, a nonprofit, what our students are doing, all of our successes, what we're doing currently, and we're also going to be going into a Q&A segment, as always, after we go into our discussion.
Hey, Derek, and I want to thank everyone for taking the time to just get together and talk about purpose, talk about impact, talk about legacy, talk about bringing this country and the world back to the opportunities our kids and grandkids can have. So, Derek, we're really excited about today. You know, those of you that are new with us, the first week we talked about my journey and how I found my purpose and what led me to spend the last 35 years in the nonprofit world and create impact. And then the next week we talked a little bit about building a movement, how with the power of purpose and our mission being to launch and empower at least 10,000 nonprofits to bring love and build communities. That's amazing. And so the momentum we're experiencing that opens the door for all of our mentoring students, for all of you that are part of that one of 10,000, right? And so we talked about building a movement, whether it's for wellness and looking at the paradigm of the healthcare and that shift and bringing in complementary medicine, not alternative, talking about affordable housing, talking about renewable energy. All of those things would really take a different whole turn if we built our grassroots coalition and brought in folks from the community to build the movement. And I talked about how we did that with the disability community. Because I'm even more proud to share with you today that 25 years ago this month, July 26th, President Bush signed the Americans with Disabilities Act, the most sweeping civil rights legislation that's ever happened in this world. And I got to be part of that movement, part of building those coalitions, part of working and building that groundswell, starting with one nonprofit center and ending up with over 800 nonprofit centers that were run like businesses, corporations. And that's what we want to bring to you guys. It's been so incredible the last 3 weeks to get emails from you, to hear from you, to hear what you're doing. So we wanted to use these Fridays to really bring forth what's happening with our students, what we're seeing, what's the cutting edge, where it's going, so that we can give you tools and resources and build that momentum, build that movement. So last week was a very powerful week. Last week we brought on Brandon, one of our purpose consultants, who has been involved in leading a movement, who served our country and fought for our freedom. And he opened up and shared his journey of being a veteran and what it's like to come home in uniform and have people salute, thank you. The purpose, he said, is so deep. There's no stronger purpose than fighting for our freedom. And then they take off that uniform and they come home to no jobs, no housing, no purpose. That's what really struck me last week with Brandon. They've lost their purpose. And dealing with PTSD and dealing with the things that we need to be there to help transition, to bring them back, to rebuild our country. It was a powerful week. And Brandon shared with us his best friend that committed suicide. And there's not a young person I talk to, my daughter's friends that have been in the military, that don't talk about their friends that have committed suicide. We as a country aren't talking about it. We as the Veterans Administrators leaders aren't talking about it. When I go to forums and it's not even talked about, and yet Brandon shared that 1 hour a day a veteran commits suicide every hour, 22 minimum a day. It's time for us to say enough. So we're going to be bringing in more friends and family that will just open up where we're headed and what we need. What Brandon shared, what do veterans need? We can't do it for them without them. We need the Brandons. We need to be there to facilitate them. So what we're doing now is gathering our different nonprofit groups together to start building that movement. If you're working on veterans issues, if you're working on housing. So this last week, it's amazing to me how that every week it's like so much to share. So I wanted to introduce you to someone who's very near and dear to me. Ed, are you with us?
Hi, Sherry. I sure am. Good to be here.
Oh, Ed. So I want to introduce you to everyone in a way that you're so deserving of. Ed has been my business partner, our company's co-founder, all of our family, another family member. Ed comes to us with such wisdom, such a heart of gold. He's got 2 law degrees, and I know you're tired of this, Ed, but we have to say, you guys, don't hold it against him, right? 2 law degrees, so you know how his mind works, just strategic, always thinking big, always going for that home run. And he left law practice many, many years ago because he knew that his purpose was bigger. He knew that he wanted to make a bigger impact. And so he began raising capital for socially conscious entrepreneurs. So while he was doing that, we were leading nonprofits, we were mentoring, we were building nonprofits from the ground up, we were doing projects in Africa, we were doing projects in Nicaragua, all over. The projects that are here in the United States, amazing. And Ed heard about us, we heard about him. Both of us kept hearing we need to meet each other. So Ed and I met in San Diego. I'll never forget it, Ed. Met a little restaurant on the boardwalk, and then just took off and started walking in the sand along the beach for hours. The synergy, the connectedness, the hearts that knew we had the skills and we could help you move forward. So we joined together that day, and that I don't think we've gone a day without talking, at least texting. I mean, we've always stayed in touch.
Not often, yeah.
It's been a joy. It's been a pleasure. You can tell, having 25 years of an anniversary for ADA, I've always had amazing teams around me. And I'm proud to say, with the power of purpose, with Ed by my side, this is the most amazing team I've ever had the privilege of working with. So Ed, welcome to Purpose Fridays. I let him know throughout the weeks that we're going to be bringing different guests on and family and friends. And so Ed, you're more like family, friend, co-founder, partner in crime. So it's just a pleasure to introduce you, Ed.
Well, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate all that, and excited to kind of listen in and add to whatever conversations you wanna kind of forward for everybody. And so I'm particularly glad because I've been working on for one of our lovely clients, and it was a nice breaking point after 3 hours of that to get away from the spreadsheets and the business models and come on and just talk about all the great stuff that's going on. So thanks for having me on.
Oh, I love it. Well, I talked to him a little bit about our connecting visit. And so those of you that are new with us today, we've got an amazing group today, Ed. It's the best group we've had yet, the most in numbers. And Karina, if you're out there, before we start, I just had to let you know I got my purple on again. Ed, last week I wore red because of July 4th and had the flag and everything. And Karina, the first thing I asked was, "Where's your purple?" So I love that you know that. And if you can tell, and you don't have your webcam, those of you that do, I'm showing, I just got the most beautiful tanzanite necklace. Tanzanite's my favorite, you know that, Ed. And Derek and Erica, his fiance that we love to death, they brought it to me for my birthday last week. So just had to share that with everyone. You know, happy hours, you got to share the personal things along the way too, right?
That's right.
So, you guys, we know, we've lived it, we've walked it, we're now every day walking it with our students. Connecting is the most powerful thing you can do to bring your nonprofit alive, to bring in the funds you need, to hire the teams you need, to make the impact, and to serve the people you're serving. Remember, number one rule, always have the people you're serving in the forefront, on your board of directors, on your advisory boards, your staff, when you go meet with legislators, when you meet with mayors, when you meet with city councilors, you want to have the folks you're serving there with you. You want to put a face to the issue. You want to empower them to take control of them bringing a change, of them leading and controlling their life and destiny. So, Ed, I wanted to share a little bit with them about what happened on our connecting visit, this perfect time. I wasn't going to share it until I was talking to you this morning, Ed, and thinking about the business plan and thinking, oh, we got to tell them what just happened by connecting, okay? So Ed and I and Heidi, will be bringing her on to spotlight her. She has a nonprofit called Foundation to Foster Empowerment. She's working with young adults aging out of foster care. And so we took a few days and just started painting the town purple there in Phoenix, knocking on doors. We had meetings set up. We met with the governor's office. We met with the state housing on Arizona State Housing Agency. We met with the Continuum of Care, and we just knocked on doors. We had meetings. But Ed, what I wanted
we didn't even let a flat tire stop us.
I love it. You guys, I'm telling you, I love it, Ed. Thanks for bringing that up. You know what our team always says? And you guys need to have this philosophy. It works. If it's not fun, we're not doing it. And so even in the middle of a flat tire, you guys, we were pulling into this Southwest Institute that does energy audits and renewable energy. They're setting up a training that we could bring the young foster kids, adults to. We're pulling in and we have a flat tire. And it's 125 degrees. We are 30 minutes away from meeting with the governor. And there's no spare tire. And Ed, we did it. We got a cab and we made it to the governor's office. You'll see
I thought the funniest thing about that experience was that we pulled up, we hit something sharp on a curb, and it flashed the tire. And poor Heidi, is sitting there going like, okay, now what do we do? And we didn't even have a meeting with these folks. We just drove down there because we had a little extra time. We thought, well, we'll just walk in, and then we'll have plenty of time to get back to downtown Phoenix to meet with the governor's assistant. And so now this happens, and yeah, it was 115 degrees or some crazy thing like that, and we're all dressed in, sport coats and dresses and things, trying to look nice because we're going to the governor's office. And, within about 3 minutes, we're all thoroughly wilted, and, so we just walk into this little office that's down south of the airport in a kind of a industrial district, and I'm thinking, well, okay, what is this? Why is this nonprofit Center for Healthy Aging or something like that? Why are they in a warehouse next to like trucking companies by the airport? Well, it turned out they were also a contractor, like Sherry mentioned, and so we walked in kind of unannounced, and the guy that we were going to try to get a meeting with already had a meeting scheduled for that time. And so I was ready to just say, well, okay, let's just get on the phone and let's figure out how to get the AAA out here or something like that to get the tire handled, and all this stuff's going through my mind. And I'm kind of working with Heidi on that. We're like, okay, do you have your AAA card? And then she gets on the phone with AAA and trying to explain where we are. We're somewhere by the airport. We don't even know where we are, and it was going to take them an hour to get a truck out. And so we were like, okay, forget that. We'll pick up the car later. And we called a cab, and we're like, well, we're by the airport. They must be able to get us a cab fast. But this whole time, Sherry just starts striking up a conversation with the woman who is working at the front desk and just telling her who we are and why we're here in the first place. And thanks for letting us stay in your nice air-conditioned office instead of standing on the street melting. And Sherry, we had about 15 minutes there before the cab showed up, and in that 15 minutes, you were able to describe all of Heidi's programs, introduce Heidi, create the connection for a follow-up meeting or phone call, and I assume that probably by now Heidi's reached out and begun talking with them. And it's so funny, Sherry, because I was just writing about that connection in Heidi's business plan draft before the call. So putting that time to use, Sherry just drove right in and started talking about, like, well, I'm here, so I might as well talk about what we came to talk about, even if the guy that we wanted to meet with can't meet with us. This person can't go anywhere. She's sitting at a desk. I'm going to talk to her about it. And it was great.
It was awesome. You guys setting up a training program with the young adults because they don't have enough people that can do the energy audits. In Phoenix, that's one of the areas that are exploding. So not only are we going to be part of their training program, and for her to say, and she was the director, it ended up, and for her to say, this is amazing. We were just this week talking about our training program we want to launch and talking about how could we bring in young adults. I'm not kidding. And out of foster care. So every opportunity you get, you guys, be proud, be excited, promote your nonprofit, talk about the kind of impact, talk about the things that are happening and that you want to see a change. So we did that, but what meeting I want to share with you, because I told you each week we'll do some cutting edge, what's going on, and I'm telling you, we're on the fast track. If I look like I've been in a whirlwind today, I have been. Okay, I felt like Seinfeld, the guy Kramer or whatever, when he comes running in. I came running into the office and slid in and plugged in the computer, and 1 minute before it started. What happened by that connecting is when we went and met with the state housing agency. Now, all of you guys have a state housing agency. Doesn't matter if you're doing the camps for at-risk youth. Doesn't matter if you're doing an elder care center, a wellness center, whatever your project is, there's some real estate involved. When I had my last nonprofit, we set up a one-stop center, and we were able to rent spaces, rent offices to 15, 20 other state agencies, local agencies, nonprofits, where folks could come into one stop. So you see, everything has a real estate component. Your state housing agency, boy, they've got tax credits, they've got housing trust funds, they've got state general funds that are utilizing. They bring in federal funds from HUD and CDBG. Amazing resource. So Ed and Heidi and I walked in there, and we started talking about the vision. And Heidi, I told you in our first call, her passion flows through. Her purpose is very strong. So when you can capture people knowing that you're doing it for the right reason. So we started asking about different funding. to bring together a house where these young kids could live, to go to their community college, to go to this training to become energy audits, to have supports, to get neurofeedback, to get them off that handful of medicine and all the Ritalin and things are on, and start looking at a different way of healing their brains. So as we're meeting with them and looking at all their sources, one of the women, and it was so cool, you guys, because the state agency director, who Ed and I've met with before, and it wasn't the most productive meeting we've had, so don't get discouraged. There's a lot of political things going on. When we went and visited them first time, they were in the middle of a huge turmoil with the legislature and where the funding was going to go. And fast forward this time, because we didn't give up, we stayed persistent, we believe in what we're doing. We went and visited, and he came over and told Ed and I it was nice to see us. And he had several other members sitting in the boardroom already. So they were taking us serious. They knew we had something to bring. And as it ended, they said, you know, we have funding for 2 to 3 houses. So then we started talking about, okay, what are the requirements? Well, it's NSP money. Those of you that know us, we've worked on that for years, Neighborhood Stabilization Program. And the criteria is it must be foreclosed, bank owned. So we got funding, Ed, last week. We got the commitment from the state agency on housing that they'll fund 2 or 3 houses. So that's what Ed's right in the middle of now, is putting the business plan together for him. We met with a realtor and a team yesterday, and we already got the 3 houses that are foreclosed on in the same area that Heidi wants to start the program. We're sending the proposal to him Monday. So Ed, that should be a happy dance. I mean, it's amazing.
Oh, yeah, it was really phenomenal. And you know, the thing about this that to me, you know, I want to talk a little bit about the whole process that we engaged in. So I think it would be helpful for people, you know, particularly if they're doing something real estate related, but really not limited to that. You just change the names and the offices and the faces and stuff, and it's still the same process. We convened a summit back in March, and at that summit, we invited a couple of private investors. I think we ended up with 3 private real estate investors that attended the summit, and Heidi and one of her board members and our team, and I'm trying to think of the other, and another nonprofit that, you know, Sherry's always telling you, you know, collaborate with other nonprofits to help fill gaps. Well, one of the things that Heidi wants to do is provide financial literacy training to the participants in her program, and so we invited another nonprofit that Sherry and I and Derek have worked with for a long time in Phoenix that does financial literacy skills training. So that was the group that we convened, and they brought one of their board members, and between their board member and Heidi's board member, we had 2 real estate experts, brokers, real estate agents and brokers from the area, and then we had 3 real estate investors. Okay, so what did we accomplish at that summit? Well, we didn't get a check at the end of the afternoon. Okay, so it wasn't like, okay, these guys, we're going to just pitch them hard and get them to write us a check. What we did was we were able to educate them about what Heidi's program was designed to do, why it was important, and then we let them decide, you know, whether they'd like to be supportive in that. And really all 3 said, well, yeah, I'd love to support that. What can we do? And then the next step was, well, we have to buy a property. We need to acquire a property. But we didn't have a specific piece of property that was like, well, here's the property and here's the purchase price and here's when we have to close by. And so what they gave us was their general support and said, get back to us. We want to help. We want to be a part of this. This sounds wonderful. So then a couple months later, as Sherry said, we went to Phoenix, back to Phoenix, and met with the different city and state and federal officials that we just kind of talked about. And now what do we have? Well, now we have layers of funding that we can look to, okay, and that's what I was working on this morning, is laying out that picture of what those layers of funding look like. So now we know that the state of Arizona will give us money to buy those houses. We also know that we've got 3 real estate investors who would love to support the nonprofit. And when we go back to them and say, we have money to buy these 2 to 3 houses, okay, and here are the 4 or 5 houses that we want to choose from, and do you have any thoughts or ideas or comments about that? And we also know that there's a third funding source through the Home Depot stores in the area, okay, and so we've identified a Home Depot store in the neighborhood, and we go in through that program called Team Depot, which Derek's done a lot of work with. We go into the store manager, okay, and now when we go talk to the store manager, we're going to say, State of Arizona Housing Authority is supporting our project with funds. We have private real estate investors looking to help where they can to fill gaps, and we'd love to partner with Home Depot. And now Home Depot knows we're going to do the project, and they know where the houses are, and they can look at their inventory and their volunteer stuff and what cash they have, and they can give us a proposal. So the reason I'm kind of saying all this is because it's really cool how you get the dominoes to fall, right? And instead of going out, we were talking about this last night, Sherry, with everybody on the Nonprofit University call. Instead of going out to one person or one agency or one entity and trying to get all the funding you need from that one person, you bring a blended approach to this thing and you put the pieces together one by one so that you come back with an idea. And now for each of these people, we can tell Arizona that we have support from private real estate investors. We can tell the private real estate investors we have support from the state of Arizona. And we can tell Home Depot Corporation we have support from both of those. Okay, and then we'll also be doing a crowd fund, and we'll probably do an event. And that money will raise in order to furnish the houses. So it's just a really cool way to put together whatever your program is that you're going to do or that you are doing, to begin to look at the various different sources, and then watch how, as you go out there and connect and develop relationships and put together those meetings, you don't have to get the full result at every meeting you do. You don't have to walk away with the check in the hand. What you have to do is build consensus, and that builds momentum, and suddenly the project goes from a great idea that you have to something where it's like, holy cow, we're actually going to do this. We're going to buy that house over there, and now, 6 or 7 kids who have no idea what their future is like are now going to be able to be a part of this great thing, have a positive future, and then we're going to grow it and expand it from there. And that's how it happens. It happens in a very kind of viral, kind of unstructured way at first. You just get people together, you find out how they can help and what they can do and all of that, and you begin to piece it together piece by piece, group by group, person by person, and that's why this is going to happen. So it was awesome. Yeah, it was great to see the whole thing develop, and we did it all in 3 months, which is not, in the whole scheme of things, it's not a long time to take to get a project in development to the point where it can be funded, and here we go.
So exciting. So you guys, when we talk about being on the cutting edge for your projects, well, you just heard right there, look at your public-private partnerships. You're seeing more and more of those. There are more nonprofits being built. There are more of our leaders, Trader Joe's leader, there's bankers. A lot of our leaders in different industries are setting up nonprofits. I mean, last night watching TV while I was just kind of trying to unwind a little from all the excitement going on after we did our webinar last night. And the first 2 commercials I saw were about nonprofits. One was a credit union. It said, because we're a nonprofit, we bring our profits back to you, and da-da-da-da. And then there's one about donating your suit right now, going on a national suit drive to benefit nonprofits that are working on employment issues. So you guys, the buzz is definitely out there. The timing has never been better for you to build your nonprofit corporation, and look up the public-private partnerships. We learned the disability movement a long time ago when we started changing things 25, 30 years ago, where we weren't out of sight, out of mind. Before the member, there were no short buses, there were no metal buildings, there were no curb cuts, there was nothing. So you didn't see us. And as we started changing things, it was like, wow, there's no housing. We didn't have multi-units. We didn't have apartments 30 years ago. This country's changed a lot. So we, again, taking the kind of, not the solution, we didn't know what the solution was. So we took the issue forward with our legislators, Congress, just going, you know what? Now we don't have anywhere to live. We're changing things, and there's nothing we can afford. So then we started working with HUD on Section 8 vouchers. But what was really powerful I learned through that was letting leaders in different areas come together with solutions. So they had all kinds of ideas. They had ways to make it happen that we would have never known. But they wouldn't have known the issue if we wouldn't have brought it forward. We ended up coming up with the low-income housing tax credits. Phenomenal investment as a passive investor. So what Ed was just talking to you about is that partnership between the public, the private, and we can do revenue shares. You guys, we're a corporation. Don't ever get in that mindset that you're a bake sale charity, you're just doing good, to bring in a bunch of volunteers. No, you're a business corporation. And so now looking at these houses and building this business plan Ed's working on, and looking at the revenue share. The investors come in and bring in the rehab money. And now we have these houses. Heidi's whole goal is to empower these young adults with the tools and resources so they become independent, become our future leaders, and so they're going to be paying rent. So there's many, many ways to do a revenue share now. So I just want to let you know on the cutting edge of things, look up social impact bonds. You're going to see more and more of those. That's going to be a way of the future. We're working on a couple, and we'll keep you posted to that. But so Ed, I wanted to tell him about Suzanne because what I was going to do is follow up last week. Brandon, shared his personal story and his journey being a veteran and where we need to go to be there to support veterans. So this week I wanted to bring Suzanne on, and Ed has been a really great mentor, leading, guiding side by side with Suzanne. She came to us about a little over a year ago, and we helped build her nonprofit from the ground up, and her nonprofit is for women veterans. Suzanne is a woman veteran. Suzanne knows what the needs are. And her nonprofit, Heart of a Fighter, we're so proud of. And it's like being a proud parent, Ed, watching her grow and the things she's doing when we were with her in LA last month. But Suzanne couldn't be on the call today because we got news this week. Aaron, he was on one of the calls and introduced himself. Aaron is one of our team members, one of our co-founders, really leading the way with the business. And Aaron built a relationship with a company that has the marketing and the Jumbotrons, like the Super Bowl, the Indy 500, it doesn't matter, the big Jumbotrons. And they want to now highlight a nonprofit at every event they're at. And not only highlight, but do mobile texting where you can donate, have ambassadors in the stands where Suzanne can do 3 to 5 questions, and the ambassadors will go around with the microphone and talk to people and to be on the Jumbotron. So the visibility is incredible. And they'll do a video for her afterwards. They've donated the production everything to do a professional PSA. She'll have 144 PSAs over the weekend. We were just invited and presented it to Suzanne to be at the Brickyard in Indianapolis the end of this month. So this has just happened this week, you guys. So Suzanne and Aaron today are doing a lot of work with the company, getting things ready. So we'll be bringing Suzanne on, but I wanted to share with you some of the things that are happening with us, that cutting edge, that you can go for with the corporate America, the cause marketing. I mean, this opportunity is one of the biggest opportunities that have been brought to us. So Ed, I wanted to share a little bit, because we told them part of the Purpose Fridays is to just share what's happening with us, what our students are doing, what the cutting edge, what's going on, to give them some of those tools to go forward with.
Well, Sherry, I have to admit that I didn't hear any of the last 2 minutes, really, of what you were saying because Suzanne called me.
That's wild.
And she was so excited, about the opportunity that you were just describing, and she was saying that one of the really, really cool things is that they're going to be able to create from a and we should talk about the dinner event that Suzanne did last week and stuff. But because of let me take a deep breath here. She's going to be able to utilize video that she's creating that came from her past event and this dinner that she did in Santa Barbara last week, and the PSA that's going to be created for Heart of a Fighter through this Jumbotron program. And she's going to be able to work that together into her crowdfunding video, which is going to save her about $8,000 in production costs of that video, which has been holding her back a little bit from us doing a crowdfund. And now those things are falling into place, and it's really great because one of the things that Sherry mentioned is that we worked with Suzanne for, it's been a year and a half at least, and certain parts of the development of a new nonprofit can go really fast, and other parts sometimes take a little time to incubate. They just do. And in Suzanne's case, one of those things was just honing in very specifically on what aspect of the challenges that women veterans face did she want to carry the torch for. One of the things that you might find in your own process like that is, in Suzanne's case, nobody is out there in the world much saying anything about women veterans in particular. Yeah. There's certainly a lot of voices crying out for support for our veterans as a whole, which is really awesome, but very few voices talking about the issues specifically related to women veterans. And I had to be educated about that. I didn't know that there were specific issues and challenges and problems and traumas that women veterans face both in combat and after that are different from how our men soldiers endure those things. So it took Suzanne a while, and with all of our help, and really mostly Suzanne, just figuring out, talking with people, connecting with other nonprofits, talking with officials, her former colleagues with the military, talking with the VA. She even enrolled herself in a Veterans Administration PTSD program because she wanted to understand how it would work and what kind of benefits it could provide and where, what it would provide to people. And so now this is the flowering of that, right? And I'm not saying that your project or a nonprofit is going to take a year and a half to get to this point, but if it does, it's okay. Sometimes sometimes the most effective thing, I think there's two ways of these things happening. Sometimes you get an inspiration and you just need to run with that inspiration and worry about the details later. I know Aaron likes to say, ready, fire, aim, right? Yeah. Sometimes that's the best way. And, Derek did this about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago now, in building a crowdfunding campaign for a little town in Oklahoma that got destroyed by tornadoes. And he just said, I got to do something. And he just did it. And my God, they sent truckloads of food and water and toys and household supplies and clothes up to this little town in about a week, because Derek just said, I'm going for it, and I'll figure out how to do it while I'm doing it. Other times, it really takes careful planning, because you want to be very specific in the gap that you're filling, or you need to research it, or you need to have a really deep understanding of the nature of the problems that you want to solve. I mean, my gosh, Sherry, your movement took years to go for. It wasn't just like, hey, we need to protect our rights as disabled Americans, and then 2 months later, President Bush is signing the Americans with Disabilities Act. That was like 4 years.
Yeah.
So in some cases, you got to be in for the long haul, and you got to kind of take account of that. In other cases, you have an inspiration that you can act on right now. And then the third pathway is that you do both. There's a big dream that you have, a big thing that you want to do, and that may take some time in planning, but within that is the initial spark, the initial inspiration. You can run with that right now. So yeah, I'm really excited about what Suzanne's going to be able to do, that there's going to be a voice out there, a very authentic voice, by the way, somebody who served, and not just, filing papers. I mean, Suzanne was flying jets. So Suzanne
in Vietnam,
served,
you guys, she was one of the first female pilots ever. I mean, she knows.
Right. So this is awesome that now there's going to be a specific voice out there talking about the specific issues that we need to help heal with our women veterans, and we're real grateful to be playing a part in that.
Yeah, and you guys, there's so much more happening, but we're going to keep it to an hour. We went over last week and the first week, I think. We're going to keep it to an hour, hour and a half. So we wanted to open up for Q&A. So Ed, real fast, what's happening with Lori? Lori and I were emailing and texting last night at like midnight, and
well, that's a great example. Let's go through that in just 1.5 minutes.
Go through it.
1.5 minutes. We'll do it really fast, but it reiterates this story that we're kind of telling today, which I hope people are inspired by. Okay, so Lori, same situation. Lori had a vision, and when we first met with Lori, I remember one of the first calls, because I was driving from Albuquerque, where I had met with Sherry, up to Salt Lake City, where I had another meeting. I'm driving through the mountains, and it's snowing, and and I'm on this call talking with Lori, and we're talking about, at the very beginning, what she wanted to do to help the really, really challenging problem, a growing epidemic level problem of young people that have various autism spectrum conditions. And we're not going to just go down this pathway we did with people with disabilities and just warehouse people. That's just not going to cut it anymore in this country. We have to be better than that. And Lori wants to be part of that solution. So we had to go through months and months of figuring out exactly what it was she wanted to address, where, and how. Okay, because she had a big vision to create this beautiful mixed-use facility that has housing, it has job opportunities in areas that people that have these conditions don't find it too stressful to maintain those jobs, and it was going to have a retail component, all this thing. Then, once we got that clear, we still had to go find land, and that took another several months to find the right piece of land. But how it got layered in is what I wanted to do quickly. We sent Ryan down to Chattanooga about a year ago, and Ryan spent a week with Lori, and they had, 20 meetings. In the meantime, Lori had done all this groundwork. She had gone out and met with parents groups of people that had these conditions. She met with other agencies that were serving and supporting them. She met with the county and the state to understand what funds might be available and what programs were in place and what she could do and what was most needed and what wouldn't work. She did all that. Ryan came down. They had several meetings at the state and local level, and I believe also with USDA. And we got what Ryan calls a funding stack together. And we said, okay, if we can do this project, here's where the funding layers come in. USDA, State of Tennessee, county and city. Here's where the housing money comes from. Here's where the job skills training comes from. And here's where the therapeutic programmatic elements, if she provides them, here's where those would come from. And here's where the needs and gaps are. So all that got identified, and then we spent the last 6 or 7 months just trying to find the right piece of land. But once we were able to identify a good parcel, then Ryan and Derek were able to work with the client in order to look at whether we could get a partial donation of that land. And so at the end of the day, we're able to not only get the perfect piece of land, but we're going to get it below market value. And the amount below market value, we can put on the bottom line as a contribution to the program. So we start, instead of starting at 0, we're starting at, I don't know, I think it's $300,000.
Yeah.
And now we have the land under contract, and now the clock starts, right? So we have 90 days, actually 120, I think, 120 days, but we already know where the funding's coming from. We already know it's Opportunity Disability Fund and USDA and State of Tennessee. We've met with the people in those who lead those programs. And now, so in other words, what I'm trying to get across is all this preaching that we do about connecting and not worrying about the end result right away. That's why, because now we are on the clock. Now we do have the real estate. If we had to go back and start those relationships and figure out who the funding sources are and get initial meetings and send somebody down there for a week with the client, we'd never make it in 120 days. But we did all that first. And so now it's just a cookie cutter. You know, it's like, okay, we already know where the money's coming from. Just got to get in touch with people. Here's the land. Here's what we're going to do with it. Here's our timetable for construction. Here's our revenue sources. How do we get going? So
awesome, Ed. I'm so excited about that one. And there's a couple of things I want to bring out of that, Ed. What really just made me sing, it was like working with Lori. It's a personal passion of Lori's. She has strong purpose because it's impacted her family. So she's coming to this from a personal place with a purpose. And Lori understands the dynamics of the advocacy involved, that we've got to change some paradigms. So Lori went in with very open eyes, not a naive advocate, not wanting to just do good bake sale charity. So she started meeting with people. But it was the parents, it was the providers that she was meeting with, and they were telling her, oh, those people, can't do things. And so one of the real big providers has this sheltered workshop, where you can go. They tried to take me into where I sit at a table. I could get a little girl and fold silverware and napkins, and I could never do that before. Why could I do it now, right? So all these folks are lined up in this agency is making tons of money off of folks with disabilities, and they've got them in shelter workshops, and they've got them in group homes, and so Lori, instead of taking what was being said there and that research, Lori facilitated a meeting of young adults with autism. That was so powerful because Lori said, I want to know what they want. This is about them and moving forward in their lives and our future leaders. And so Lori, again, what I always preach and teach is that you put the people in the forefront that you're serving. You don't build a program for them without them. So that was very powerful that Lori just went out there and found out what young adults with autism want. What are their needs? So she's building the nonprofit around them helping vision and lead in that vision. So Ed, what I want to end with, what our whole team was talking about, is charitable giving of real estate. You guys, that has exploded for us. The last year we have really focused on it, and the last little while it's become the #1 funding source for nonprofits, and it's the most untapped resource in this country. I don't know if you remember, I told you guys $450-some billion every year donated to nonprofits, and only 2% of that is from real estate. And yet the majority of the wealth in our country is held in real estate. The baby boomers, our time is coming. They've created wealth, They have the real estate assets all over. They have second and third homes. They have the apartments in Florida. They're tired of messing with their 85. It's a phenomenal wealth transferring strategy. So I wanted to just leave that with you guys. As for Suzanne, our team with Derek Leeden last year developed some software. And for the first time in 20 years working with the lead consultant in this country, he's the leader. He's known as the expert on charitable giving of real estate, Chase Magnuson. We met him 10 years ago. We met together, and from that day on, like Edna's, we've been partners. He is part of our team. He has led our nonprofits. The number one area that was the hardest was finding the donors. It's not a well-known strategy, even amongst estate planners, financial planners. So finding those people of wealth that it would benefit them. They can do partial donations. We do bargain sales. We can give them cash, the tax deduction. It's phenomenal. We've met with the Clinton Foundation. We've met with some of the large players. You're going to see this taking a whole life of its own. And so with Suzanne, when they finished that software, when Chase was so elated and said, this is the Ferrari, it's going to set the fundraising on its ear with this launch. We've never seen anything like it, that now we can find donors, we can send letters. It's all within a software program. You push a few buttons and bam, you've got thousands of addresses and letters embedded in it. So as we launched that, we beta tested it with Suzanne. The first letter campaign, 200 letters, she got a call from a lady that Chase said 85% of real estate donations are rejected. We know that. We've seen that for 10 years now. So we're the nonprofits going, we'll take them. We'll facilitate it. We'll work with you, other nonprofit foundation. We'll work with you. We'll facilitate it and then grant you some funds too, right? So Susanna got a call, and this lady said, this is too good to be true. I've been calling everybody to try to donate properties because that's what I'm tasked with my National Property Management Company. I've called Red Cross, United Way, Habitat. I've called them all. They think I'm a scam. They all say, no, we're not going to accept that. So that first letter, 5 houses were donated. Now with Lori, that Ed was just talking about, part of the reason the gentleman that has the property, I almost said his name, he had people coming to him from the university and alumni and offering to buy it from him for full price. But when Chase got on the phone with him, with Derek and Ryan, and they talked about the charitable giving of real estate component and what it could do for him, not only did he love the project and want it to be a legacy, but he saw the financial. He had his legal team. He had his financial team. He had them all on the phone. And they got it. Phenomenal. So that's why that's moving forward with that property. So you guys, we are full blast with charitable giving of real estate. Our software is called The Power of Free Real Estate. And we are now, this week, again, keeping up with our cutting edges, we are setting up a focus group. We are pulling in 10 of our top mentoring students, some of our students that have invested in the Power of Free Real Estate, and we're going to be meeting weekly and really doing market tests, split testing, what letters pull in the best, our handwritten working better. So we're going to have a lot to share with you as we move forward. The really big place for us right now is charitable giving of real estate. So Derek, I just wanted to plant that seed. Ed, the two that you've worked with a lot, Suzanne and Lori, the charitable giving of real estate has been such a big component in moving those projects forward. So you guys, we've got some great things happening. Give you a few hints. Start talking to your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, your neighbors, your real estate buddy, your attorney buddy. Start talking about how we could donate real estate to the nonprofit, and start. You'll be amazed at the conversations when people start going, oh, well, I've got a house up in Sun Valley, Idaho, and I'm 85 years old, and I don't go to it anymore, and my kids don't want it. So, maybe we could work something out, and we can set up an income for them through a charitable remainder flip trust. And I mean, I won't get into all the details, but I want you to understand there's so many benefits for the donor. The number one thing you need to do is sell them on your mission. It's all about connecting. What you're doing, the kind of impact, sell them on that, and then we can lead them into the other conversation.
And Sherry, I've mentioned this before, but I just can't help it. For all of us, or most of us anyway, that are on this call, we grew up with those old Christmas movies that would come on, right, at the holiday season. And so you can probably go on YouTube now, because it's not Christmas time. But the movie The Bells of St. Mary's is all about that. It's all about what Sherry's talking about, where Ingrid Bergman plays the nun and Bing Crosby plays the father at this impoverished church in inner city New York. And there's the wealthy businessman who has his office next door that he's building into an office building and doing all these things with. And as the movie goes on, it's one conversation after another where the priest and the nun, mostly Ingrid Bergman's character, talks to this man and gets him to see that he's really not all that happy in his life, and that he wants to make a difference and leave a legacy, and that would bring him great happiness. And so by the end of the movie, of course, he donates the building to the church, and they build this new school for the church, and everybody's happy. And that's what we all want. We all want to be happy. And sometimes just because we have a lot of wealth or a lot of resources doesn't mean that we're happy. And there are times when you can connect with people from the heart and just say, here's what I'm about. Would you join me and help me make this happen? And and sometimes those people will have an asset that they're not doing anything with. The extra $10,000 a year they're getting in rent from that property is not making any big difference in their life. But they see through you, through your hearts and minds, they see what that could be. And they see that could have them be a part of that. And sometimes it's the perfect antidote somebody's looking for. So to get you excited about that, go watch The Bells of St. Mary's.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you guys, huge opportunity here, and to get you the funding to help leave them a legacy, to give them the benefits, amazing. So Derek, we'll talk more about that. Ed and I can bring some different friends and family on that has brought their project alive. We'll bring Chase on. I know you are holding a mastermind, Derek, and then our focus, all of us are doing the focus groups start next week, so we'll be sharing that with you.
Hey, if you want to stay, I'm happy to stay on and take some questions. I don't know if anybody else's schedule lets that, but.
Yeah, cool. Let's open it up for questions, Derek.
Okay, let's open up our live Q&A session here. Great presentation, by the way, you two. Gives you guys a really, really good snapshot of what's going on out there, what our students are doing, and all the great things that are happening.
Well, we can't talk about all the things. It's like a whirlwind, I'm telling you, but it's so exciting. Now's an exciting time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, everyone, so once again, in your control panel, you'll see a drop bar that says questions, and you can submit them electronically right directly to us. So just type those in and send them over, and we'll begin answering your questions. First question that came in from Tara. She wants to launch a nonprofit to teach folks with ADD and autoimmune disease how to heal themselves with holistic and biblical modalities. She's wondering how she gets started.
Oh, man. Well, there is such a need for what you're talking about. We're working with many of our mentoring clients right now, are working on different healing modalities, bringing that to the world. So the way you could start it is set up your nonprofit corporation, develop your mission statement, and go out and connect. Go out, look around you. What other nonprofits are out there? Who's doing what? And how could you partner with them? Go sit down with some of them. Tell them what your vision is. Tell them what your purpose is, and then see how you can work with them. And
I got a couple of things I can add to that.
Okay.
Yeah, like Sherry says, we have, three or four clients right now who are in one way, shape, or form, in this world of complementary and alternative medicine. And then we have 3 relationships with products companies, 2 that have medical devices that actually can really cause healing in a non-invasive, non-drug way, and a 3rd one that is nutraceuticals. And then we also have relationship with the organic food industry and clients that are doing aquaponics and organic food. So my thing would be, first figure out if what you want to do is therapeutic, nutritional, medicinal, or research-oriented, and it might be all 4 of those things, and that's fine. Are you going to be giving people a specific protocol, or are you going to create a facility for people to come and stay at while they go through a therapeutic program? Or are you more interested in educating people about what's already available out there if they only knew? So you want to begin to think in specifics about the nature of what you want to provide for people. And then once you get that, now you can start to think about how you're going to do it. Don't worry about the how at the very beginning. We always say that, Sherry.
Yeah.
Just get the what and the who and the where, maybe. Okay, is it in my city? Is it in my state? Is it nationally? Is it globally? Get the who, the what, and the where. And then once you have those really clear, you can start to work on how you're going to do it. And then once you start to work through the how part, okay, I'm going to do a healing center, and it's going to be located in Los Angeles, and it's going to be this big, and I'm going to provide the following things. Then once you get to that level with it, you'll start to see where you need your funding from, just what we're talking about in Nonprofit University right now, Sherry.
Yeah.
And then, you can start to identify the specific sources of funding that provide funding for a building, or for a therapeutic program, or for insurance reimbursement, or for food and medicine and things like. There's just different sources of funding for each of those. So that's where I would start, is medicinal, therapeutic, research, or nutritional.
Perfect.
Or is it some mix of those things? And then start from there, and then you'll figure out specifically how you're going to do what you want to do.
Perfect. And then we have a lot of tools and resources. So I don't know how connected you are with us, but we have Nonprofit University, and we have a curriculum 101, 110, 120, and 101 is nonprofit creation. It's got all the tools and webinars and PowerPoints and all kinds of trainings in it. We also have, I won't steal your thunder, Derek. Ed and I are just so excited. We're getting ready to roll out some certifications, and so be watching for those, because that would be a phenomenal way for you to get any kind of guidance you need on the actual setting up of your nonprofit. So stay tuned with us. We love getting you guys' emails. It really meant a lot to Brandon last week. He received a lot of emails thanking him for his service, for what he brought to us last week. So send us an email, call our office, and we're really limited. We're very selective now with our one-on-one mentoring. It's by application, and so we're more, if you're interested in that, again, shoot out an email or something and at info@thepowerpurpose, and we can connect more. But there's a lot of tools and resources for you to get your nonprofit set up. So that's exciting. You'll be one of our 10,000, at least 10,000.
Oh, there you go. At least. There you go. Next question from Mitra. Can I expand on financial literacy by adding personal and professional training?
Definitely. At our group in Phoenix, they have a gentleman that's leading the financial literacy because of a professional and personal training he puts on, and he brought it to the nonprofit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not exactly sure if I understand the question right. Derek, could you read it one more time?
Sure, you bet. Mitra's wondering if she can expand on financial literacy by also adding personal and professional training.
So I'm not sure whether she means personal or professional training, as an advanced part of financial literacy training, or if she means, sort of a different subject area. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, you can do lots of those things. And it's a way to also bridge what you do professionally in the world as a for-profit to what you want to do as a nonprofit. So if you're already a professional coach, or you have a specific skill set that you provide advanced training on, sales training, or emotional intelligence training, or physical training, whatever that is, it's a great way to bridge that into a nonprofit world. And all you really need to do is define a group of people that you would like to help as a nonprofit to augment what you're already doing as a for-profit. And so it's a great thing to do.
Well, and Ed, sticking to something else too is, you guys, in your funding proposals, a lot of times, if you're going to submit a proposal to do that kind of training, they're going to want to look at it. So we did one of our nonprofit, our mentoring students in Florida is doing financial literacy. They started out doing affordable housing. They've added financial literacy, and they got funding from the county, from CDBG funds, to do a financial literacy program for young adults aging out of foster care. What they did when we put that proposal together, they had great skills in financial literacy. One of them was a financial planner, but they used different training programs. They used the Dave Ramsey financial literacy program. They used the Smart Money from FDIC. NeighborWorks has one. So there's several financial literacy trainings out there that you can get free of charge. Some of them, we've got a grant from the Dave Ramsey Foundation. They supplied the workbooks and all that kind of thing for the teachers. And so we put together their own training with a little bit of that kind of, painted in here and there. And the county approved it. So if you want to take, and Ed and I, when we were just at a connecting visit 2 weeks ago, with one of the very wealthy, you could tell, top foundations, probably in the country. I've seen a lot about them. We went into their office, met in their boardroom. There was all windows, beautiful overlook. And they're using a financial literacy program that's from the Casey Foundation, Mr. Casey from UPS. They've designed their own financial literacy program, and that's the only thing they're funding. So again, just to expand on, there's a lot of financial literacy training programs put together from what you know, and then present it to who you're going to get the funding from.
Well, good answer, guys.
Okay, Derek, let's take a couple more.
Okay, Karen here is an affiliate with us. Hi, Karen. How are you? Karen has a couple here saying, do you have lenders in Chicago looking for funding for my Cash for Keys program? I have a nonprofit, but we don't have our 501c3 status. We paid 2 people to get it, but we still don't have it. Do you have someone in Chicago that can help us? Let me take that last part, Karen. I'll let Imam take the other two. Regarding your 501c3 status, that's something that you can fill out, your 1023 form 1023. And also, at the beginning of this year, they just released a new form, the 1023EZ. And we've had a couple of our students and a couple of our clients, we pushed them to using that. Our most recent one just last month. And typically, the normal period of anywhere from 6 to 12 months on it, she got it back in about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So check out Form 1023EZ. And that's something, again, with paying somebody professionals, just like your articles of incorporation, we tend to see that it's just much better when you fill those articles out, your forms out yourself. And they're pretty easy. The 1023EZ is much easier, much more straightforward, and the response time is much quicker on that.
And you know what's great about the Chicago is we have, Derek, I think you've created, what, 6 national buying groups now?
Yes.
Derek?
Yes, 6. Uh-huh.
Okay. And they will go anywhere in the country. I mean, there's no, so it doesn't have to be just Chicago or just San Diego or just certain areas. So you can present things. I'm telling you, the easy part is finding the investors. They're all, looking for a great ROI. Some of them are managing funds now, and they aren't getting the return on investment for the folks that have their money. So finding the money on that part is really is the easy part. So it's leveraging the funding. What Ed was talking about with what we're doing with Heidi is bringing in the investors, working with the state housing agency, working with your local community. I've done a lot of work in Chicago in the past, and you've got some great community there. Done some things with the Center for Harvard Studies, with foreclosures, a data research project. So love to talk to you some more about the things that are happening in Chicago. But again, just getting the word out. Another place you guys go to your real estate investment clubs, your RIAs. I mean, there are RIAs all over this country, Santa Barbara, San Diego, Albuquerque, Chicago. Take a presentation to your RIA. Talk about coming in as a public-private partnership. I mean, who better than a group of investors that have the really deep knowledge on real estate investing? We're going to be going to present to one next month on the charitable giving of real estate.
Okay, a couple of comments here, real quick from Lou and JP. Lou's just very grateful to be a part of this. I know I have found my place and purpose.
Yay! Wow, I love that. Say that again, Derek. I love that, Ed.
He said, I'm so grateful to be a part of this. I know I found my place and purpose.
Yeah.
JP,
Okay.
again, hi JP, nice to have you on again. He's a newbie from Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Oh, Ed! Oh no,
Right
we
on.
started something.
Yeah, that's my backyard, my old backyard. So bring it on.
All right.
Oh my gosh, Ed is. You better be die hard with your teams. I mean, Ed, we never miss an event.
No, we love our team. So for me, it's the Bucks, Brewers, Packers, and Badgers all the way.
So JP's doing something really cool. With his NPO newbie, his dream is of 1,000 science degrees for women by 2030. He's inspired to create science degrees for women veterans also.
Wow.
Wow, that's awesome.
Love that.
And then he had a follow-up question to that. It's just him and a friend right now with this. I need to incorporate and foster more local connection. How do I get the word out? How do I get members and ultimately a proper NPO board group?
Oh man, everywhere you go, build your program summary. Start passing out whenever you're at the Kiwanis meeting or you're at a realty meeting, whatever you're involved in, church groups, wherever you are. Start letting people know what you're doing. It's amazing how in your own concentric circle you're going to find out, wow, my sister's married to the mayor, or my mechanic is a city councilor. I never knew that. Just get the word out wherever you are. Go like city council, or not city council, Chamber of Commerce. They have a special rate for nonprofits, and a lot of them have meetings for the nonprofit coalitions. United Way. Go find out. Start connecting with some of them.
That's very, very cool too. Yeah, I'm not sure how familiar is it JP is with some of what we teach, but the program summary is your quick one-page definition of who you're serving, how you're doing it, and what's important about it. And one of the things I would say to everybody is never assume that people will understand why what you're doing is important, even if it seems really obvious to you. Always give them a sentence or two at least on what's the problem here, why is this important, why do we need more women with science degrees, what is that? You know, it could be everything from a national security issue to a civil rights issue to an economic justice issue, right? And so you want to don't assume people already get that. And then secondly, Wisconsin's a very progressive state, educationally, at least it always has been. I don't know about so much lately, but it always has been. And so you're going to find a lot of advocates, I think, in the state of Wisconsin to support this. I have two cousins who are both retired teachers in Oconomowoc. Say that fast 3 times, Sherry. Oconomowoc. If you get to a point where you write this up a little bit and define, what you're doing, how you plan to kind of carry this forward and why it's important, send it over to us at info@Power of Purpose? Would that be an email, Sherry?
Yep.
And
Perfect.
I'll forward it to my cousins who are retired teachers who are huge advocates of education in the state of Wisconsin. So start there at the grassroots level. Who do you know that's a teacher, a retired teacher, a former principal, a school board administrator? Because even though you're looking at college degrees and maybe eventually finding ways to get people into college degree programs, you want to reach the girls, or the women, when they're still girls at junior high and high school level, and encourage them. We have a client, Sherry, that we worked with on and off in the past who wanted to do this out in California. Remember, he wanted to increase the number of students that would go for science and technology degrees, and he wanted to do that by going into the high schools and the junior high schools with after-school pilot programs that gave them access to, people who were in those careers. Like, what would your job look like if you were in this career, or what opportunity would be in that career, or here's how you build a mechanical device and things like that. So the sky's really the limit, and your job now is to kind of what I usually call tying rocks to clouds. You take that big vision, that's the clouds, and now you tie some rocks to it, the specific things that you want to do for people, and then be sure and explain in a sentence or two why it's important, so that when people read this, it clicks for them if they don't get it right away.
Hey, I got to add some fun to this happy hour. Ed really knows. He really talks about tying rocks to clouds and now being partners with us.
Yeah, that's right. That's on the rocks.
That's an awe. I love the rocks Ed brings to us. That's part of the success. Surround yourself with people that have strengths that you don't. That's our success.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. On that, Ed.
Very class.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, next question from Lorene. My question is, does the money that's received have to be paid back?
No, that's what's so awesome and different about the nonprofit world versus the for-profit where you're raising capital. In the nonprofit, if you're getting a government grant, a foundation grant, charitable giving of real estate, none of that has to be paid back. The only thing that would be paid back is if you did a revenue share with a group of investors. If you build that public-private partnership, you'll build in something, but the money from grants or that does not have to be paid back. What they want to see is a report. Like for me, when I got funding from the Department of Education to do a life skills training program, $250,000 a year for 4 years. And I, in the proposal, said I'm going to serve this many people, do this much. I wrote a budget for $250,000, add my salary, project managers, life skills trainers, you know, all the folks that's going to take your lease, your rent, your insurance, your legal fees, your audit, include all of that in your budget. Because when we review it, me being a reviewer, we look at the business savvy that you have. We look at, can you take this money and really be effective with it? Can you create the impact because you know how to manage it from the business stance? So there's a very strong business component in that money. So we think about it, taxpayers, we're contributing, we're the one that have all that money there in those pots, and it's that agency then that puts out a request for proposal. They don't take that money and keep it for themselves. Their job is to be good stewards of that money, to put together the request for proposal, to put together the grant review team, to put together all the pieces in place that can allocate that funding to the best entity that's going to take it forward and bring impact. So you've written a proposal. The way you now pay it back is you do reports. Usually it's quarterly. I like to negotiate quarterly. Monthly is too much. So I negotiate quarterly reports where I present to that agency what we've done over this quarter, how many people's lives have been impacted. You know, we've really moved. We've spent a lot of years when I was in Washington, D.C., working, going from the qualitative, we're just going to be bean counters. I could say, yeah, I served 1,000 people, but what was the outcome? You know, I want to see what were the results. And we moved into quantitative, and we did participatory action research. We got Congress to adopt that so that any kind of research that's going on, if it's for traumatic brain injury, you have to have people with brain injuries involved in it, AIDS, whatever that is. So now your way of paying it back is showing that funding agency what you've done with the money, the lives that have been impacted, and the people you're serving. It's a great way to pay it back.
Yes,
Really great stuff.
Lorraine's part of a group that's interested in creating a nursing home alternative, which creates a home-like atmosphere to house up to 12 people to start with.
Oh, awesome. I've spent my whole life working on creating a change from our institutional bias. In this country, we're entitled to go into a nursing home and it's paid for. But to live in the community and get 2 hours a day support so my mom doesn't have to go into a nursing home, we don't do it. So yay, bravo, keep going. Connect with your independent living center in your area. There's so much energy around that with the personal care option. Money follows the person. Look that up. Look up money follows the person. That's legislation we did at the federal level. I think about 40 some states now are doing projects under money follows the person. And it's an initiative, much like a voucher with the schools where people can take that money they have in the nursing home and move back out into the community. So you've got some resources that would help fund that initiative.
That's right. Sherry, I just wanted to add a quick little caveat to what you were saying earlier, just so everybody's aware, because some people are quite new probably to this whole world. So in addition to what Sherry just shared with you about all the different sources of funding that are available through the federal government grants, public-private foundation grants, public donations, crowdfunding campaigns, government contracts, corporate sponsorships, and corporate philanthropy. In addition to all those things, when it comes to the world of doing real estate-based projects often, and also certain kinds of business development projects, there's also a lot of money that is available in the form of loans. The advantage is, and for example, the Department of Agriculture, Department of Transportation, Department of Energy, they provide low interest, long-term loans to nonprofits that want to develop infrastructure, technology, real estate, things like that. And often, depending on the nature of the source of that funding, because they all have many, many different programs that they fund through, sometimes it can be like a zero interest loan or a forgivable loan.
Yep.
So there's lots of options there, even on the lending side, that are far better than commercial rates for those things.
Awesome point.
Mm-hmm. Just a few quick tech things here from JP. Program summary available on the site. Yes, JP, on course 110 of Nonprofit University Program Development. We have 2 videos for you there, and also your module 2 in Purpose Under Profits. Purpose in Action also has more on that topic there. And Donna with the question. Donna is first time calling in. Glad to have you with us, Donna.
Hi, Donna.
If we have these training sessions, we hold these Friday afternoons. We know Purpose Fridays / Friday happy hour. So
With the purpose.
with a purpose. So join us on Fridays.
And we have a selfish reason for doing this too, you guys, because with our mission to empower and launch at least 10,000 nonprofits, man, we're getting out there. So we want you guys to join our movement and being one of those at least 10,000 nonprofits. So we're going to just keep bringing these conversations, and there's so much happening every week. That's part of the reason we decided to do Purpose Fridays. We were trying to somehow get the word out with all the opportunities that are opening up and the doors and the impact, and just so it's happening so fast. We thought, okay, Purpose Fridays. Let's take happy hour and share what's happening, and you guys share with us, and together it's going to be a bright future for our kids and grandkids.
Sherry, one of these weeks I would love to come on with you all and talk for this time on how people who have this interest, how people can launch a community redevelopment plan. This is something that we've built a template for, and we're looking at actually bringing that into an actual community in the next few months. And it has all kinds of elements. Everything we've talked about today with people's questions and the kinds of nonprofits they're starting and things. And so this is an opportunity, too, to kind of look at what a large-scale community redevelopment plan might look like in, say, a small or medium-sized town, where you're going to partner with other nonprofits and the for-profit community and build a new infrastructure for a hurting community. So maybe one of these weeks we could do that too. I would love to go through that PowerPoint and just get everybody excited about how to collaborate, connect, and work with others to bring a big vision into reality.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, next from Superstar Mentoring student Karina Benson.
Yay, Karina.
Let's give a shout out to our other Superstar Mentoring students too. Joining us, we have Karina, Tom Paris, Greg Golden, Leo Bansky, and newly joined Uma. Welcome, Uma.
Yay. Ooh, you guys made me smile all over.
Karina met a young adult here in Las Vegas. Wants me to refer her over to Heidi, 19 years old, in and out of foster homes, in and off the streets.
Wow.
But he has roots in Arizona, originally from there. She gave me a list of resources in Vegas. So yeah, let's see if we can link her and Heidi up to
Amazing,
help us
Karina,
in and
too.
out.
And we're going to be, Karina and I and Tracy will get to be meeting in a couple of weeks. But amazing how things work. Somebody asked before how you get the word out. Well, you guys, I didn't know this, Karina, and about Karina knowing the select person. And Heidi, some of her board members are in Las Vegas, and they're looking at doing a project there too. And now Karina comes forward today with this, and she's in Las Vegas. See how things work when you're on the right path? So I know something amazing is going to happen from this. This will really prompt their Las Vegas activity that's brewing right now. So Karina, that's awesome.
Okay, we have 3 questions to go. This is from Tammy. Have recently registered a 501c6 business league with California Secretary of State to help self-employed member entrepreneurs with creating cost-effective marketing and promotions through Trade Expo, webinar infomercials. What tips do you have for her?
Well, tell us a little more about the 501c6.
She said her most popular webinar is Cyber Reading Stars. It's a group literacy model. Hoping to begin its sale and lease soon. Realtors log in from their showings to present one by one until they're done. There's a slate of 10 different webinars.
Interesting. I'm not as familiar with the 501c6. We really focused on the 501c3s.
Yeah, Tammy, give us a little bit of a follow-up on that, on what it pertains to the 6, real quick, and then we'll.
I can say a quick word on that.
Go ahead.
Because I actually was able to be part of a nonprofit that developed a 501c3, which is the common public charity, and then also developed a 501c6, which is a membership organization. And so it still has to forward a charitable purpose. And a 501c6 really is what a lot of like trade associations and groups that are trying to forward the interests or rights or economic development of like, for example, the small business community. And so if they've already set that up as a 501c6, then often it's a membership organization where it's okay to charge an annual or monthly dues and things like that, so that you're creating either a trade association or some other professional association, something like that. And so that's the form that she has talked about setting up. And I think the question, Derek, was relating to how to spread the word and market to get members. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, it's just looking for some general tips. What general tips does she have on that? That's her idea with kind of this interactive learning platform. But beyond that, what tips or suggestions might you have for her?
Well, I can tell you from our national membership group, when we started we built that one nonprofit and another one, and then 800 of us. We built a national organization, a membership organization that we all joined, and it was really cool how we did it. We were able to join according to our base budget. So our fees, so as you're looking toward building that membership, think about what kind of fee structure you want to include, and would it be sliding scale? Does it depend on the size of the organization? We did it based on the revenues the corporation received. But what really brought people in was we did advocacy alerts. We kept real connected. So our national group, so like you, have something that is of such value to deliver to people. And we weekly, and we had conference calls, and so it was worth and very much worth the investment to join because of all the benefits we received. So start thinking of the benefits you can offer that will bring your members in.
Right, and I would say one question, Derek, I don't know if you could tell from the question, but has she already set up this organization and been approved by the IRS, or is it in formation, or can't you tell from the question?
Let's see what she has here. So yeah, it's a platform essentially web-based. Looks like webinar for production. Participants log in and promote. Realtors, entrepreneur, self-employed based service, delivering cost-effective method to produce multimedia, and regarding that, she recently registered it with California Secretary of State.
Oh, got it. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
well,
you got benefits.
yeah, benefits, and then defining membership, and that's one of the things you'll see on the application form when you go to file with the IRS. Is they're going to want you to be able to explain who's qualified to be a member of your organization and who's not, and you have the right. We can't get into a long conversation about constitutional law here. I know you'd all love to have that conversation, but under the right of association, under the Constitution, you are allowed to create associations that have limited membership, but you can't do it for a discriminatory purpose, and I'm sure you're not, but the IRS doesn't know that. So on the form, when you go to apply with the IRS, there will be a question on there that talks about who is eligible to receive the benefits and services of your membership, and you want to be able to have that clearly thought out in advance so that you can just quickly answer that question in a couple sentences as to who can join this association, who's eligible, right, and then who's not eligible, either by default or that you want to define that. So, for example, just a really quick example, you might say, well, real estate agent in the state of California. Now, what about brokers? What about owners of real estate agencies? What about, and then do they have to show that they are in current good standing with the state regulatory body? So just think through those things about who's going to be a member of this organization, who's qualified, and what those qualifications are so that you can write them out on your application.
Perfect. Okay, Derek, we can't go through all the questions, so how about just a couple more?
Yeah, I said 3. We got 2 more.
Okay.
Those 3. Fairland.
Well, I know we have a bunch more, so you guys, if we don't get to yours, save them for next week. We'll just take these last 2.
Yes, Fairland here is filling out Articles of Incorporation for Washington State. Under the Purpose Corporation, there are 2 options: any lawful purpose and 50 characters. My written purpose was far too long, regardless how I tried to shorten it up. Is it wise to select just number 1, any lawful purpose?
No, what we do on them, we've done them all over the country. On that line, just put C attached, and just put a separate sheet that'll list your purposes, because you're going to need to send that to the IRS. IRS is going to want to look at your purposes.
Okay.
If you're too vague, it's hard to get tax exempt status.
Yeah, it sounds like there's like a character written to the purpose. It was far too long. Tried to shorten it.
Yeah, I've done that. So finally, you end up calling and just say, hey, I'm going to put C attached, and then I put attachment for purposes, and add another sheet.
Okay, and finally, Karen asks, are you willing to come to Chicago if I can get a big group together? Are you willing to go to Chicago?
In the summer. Last time I went in February, and it was like -3, and my lips were frozen to my teeth, and so yeah, we're talking about a good time now.
I think
you guys,
we're coming in the summer. We're staying in Lincoln. We're staying in Lincoln Park, and we're going to a Cubs game.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
And I gotta do it too. We can also go see the Bears.
Oh, I can do it. Urlacher. Derek, you guys, we're at happy hour. We can share. Derek played with Brian Urlacher at University of New Mexico. Brian's one of our boys. New Mexico.
In the long, long ago.
Yeah. Oh, Derek, not that long ago. It does seem like forever ago, though, huh? So, you guys, I know there's a lot more questions, but there's just so much happening. We're trying to limit it, and that way each week we'll just keep telling you. And we love your emails. Shoot over emails. Shoot over a vote for Chicago. We're going to do a live training, really a gathering in September. And so we're asking folks to vote for where we should do it. We have quite a few votes from San Diego. We got some from Dallas, some from Florida. So, hey, get your Chicago folks to send in votes, and we'll put that on. We'll put that on our bulletin board and see where we end up going. But you guys, we really value this time with you guys. It's a great way for us to connect and share what's working for us and our mentoring students and the kind of growth we're experiencing for the Power of Purpose. And the more we grow and the more visible we are, the more we're out there, the more doors are open for all of you guys. So we want to share in this journey together and have you be part of our mission, while we can give you the tools and resources to empower you to grow your nonprofit and live your purpose. Because I've been able to live my purpose for 30-some years now because of something so tragic that's been so triumphant. So living your purpose, there's $1 million check on the wall, can't describe the real fulfillment you get when you're making an impact. And I wanted to close with this, Ed and Derek, and then you can add. Last night at midnight, I was texting and celebrating with one of our mentoring students, and she shared a story that I can't go public with yet. It's a beautiful story written by a mom of her vision, what's going to with her son now, about being a part of that nonprofit and how his life's changing and what it means to the mom. And she said, if this is why you do what you do, I really get it. I've never been this fulfilled. And I texted her back and said, you get it all the way. You know, all these other training companies and us too, we could show that $1 million check. No, I got a $1.5 million check from the Department of Treasury in one shot. And I could show those. But you know, it's the people's lives that you're changing. It's the systems that are broken that we're now putting some thought into recreating. And it's the Grandma Betty that was in a nursing home, tied to a bar in the front hallway, wearing a white man's robe and crying in Navajo, I won't go home. And it's now that picture of her I keep with her in her velvet, her squash blossoms, her hair's in a bun. It's significant in their culture. And she's living back home in her hogan, teaching her grandkids Navajo and telling stories. There's no kind of fulfillment that brings that to you. So I just want to remind us what life is really about. Where does our fulfillment come from? You can have lots of stuff. We have talked to billionaires and multimillionaires that are sitting around tables with us now saying, yeah, I've complicated my life. Yeah, I've got everything. I've got the jet, and I've got the yacht. And what's my life about? What's my legacy? What am I going to be remembered for? And so there is that part of social significance because it's so powerful. You know, we all strive, you know, for that significance in our community, the bigger house and the bigger boat and the bigger car, fancier car. But it's so much more powerful with that social significance, knowing that you've made an impact and knowing that you've lived on purpose. Nothing more fulfilling. So last night was a great reminder for me to share that with you guys, that where you're headed, the path you're on, living your purpose, stepping forward, it's going to bring you the greatest fulfillment you've ever experienced in life. And you guys are bringing that to us. So awesome. Let's go continue our happy hour and keep talking purpose, Ed, Derek. So with that, I'm going to close and say goodbye, and I'll let you guys end with any of your last thoughts.
Final thoughts?
Yeah.
Beautiful Friday afternoon in San Diego. Well, thank you, Sherry and Derek. This was really fun to do. Love to do it again with you. And yeah, I think my thing is this. In the world of business, there are 3 pathways that a lot of people kind of achieve, whether it's consciously or not. Some want to be feared, some want to be respected, and some want to be beloved. And some change their course along the way. The cool thing about it is that if you choose the path of being beloved, you're going to end up being respected as well, and you'll be feared by the people who really are up to no good anyway. So that's the pathway I took years ago, to leave behind a legal practice that caused me to use my skills and talents so that my clients would win at the cost of somebody else. And I just didn't want to play that game, because I think as a race, as a planet, we can do better than that. We can create win-win situations and outcomes, and that's what this world we've been talking about today is all about. And I'm just really grateful that you're all here considering that, or already having plunged into that world, and joining with a global tribe that really knows that there's a better way to solve our problems and surpass our challenges. And we can be beloved to one another and to our planet, and we'll still be respected. We'll still be respected. In fact, in many cases, we'll be respected a lot more than if all we did was build wealth. So you can build wealth, you can build security, and you can build that third layer of those things, which is the abundance of love and respect that you get back from your communities when you put your attention on building something that creates value for others. So thank you for being in that conversation. And Sherry and Derek, thanks for having me on today.
Hey, here.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Do our toast.
Thank you for joining us today as our guest, Ed. Thank you so much. And
He's not a guest, he's family.
well, a guest on today's Purpose Fridays.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And we'll be bringing in guests all along the way on our Purpose Fridays, everyone. So stay tuned in with us. And just leave us with some reminders. Once again, NPU students, we'll see you on next Thursday as always. We'll see everyone here on Purpose Fridays next Friday. And then mentoring students, mentioned you earlier, be sure and clear some space out for Tuesday evening. We have a very, very special presentation on a mastermind we're going to be doing. So clear your schedule. Well,
Derek,
thanks again.
We can't say goodbye without gratitude for you putting this together and allowing us to have this platform. So gratitude.
Oh, well, thank you guys for
right on.
You guys for being a part of it. It takes a whole group here to make it special. That's why it's special. So thank you, everyone.
All right, gang. Everybody have a great weekend.
Party with a purpose. Keep it going.
Have a Friday, everyone. Great weekend. We'll see you next week, and keep up all the great work out there and stay in touch with us.
Bye, guys. Bye, Ed. Bye, Derek.
Bye.
Bye, Ed. Bye, guys.